Welcome, everyone. We're going to open with our hymn of the month, the new month, number 323, Break Not the Circle, as we begin our new theme, Flourishing Together. So please rise and body your spirit for our opening hymn.
Good morning. We are so glad you're here, just as you are, with all that you love and all that has brought you to this space. I'm Reverend Bret, and my pronouns are he, him. Our worship team this morning is Reverend Joyce, co-minister, Lindsay, director of religious education, Tim, our music director, the talented unicantors, and Autumn, our office manager, is on tech, and Alexis is serving as this morning's worship associate. As always, do join us for coffee hour after the service. If you are online, do like, comment, and share this worship service. If today is your first day worshiping with us, online or in person, we're thrilled that you are here. Let us know who you are so we can be in touch.
I'm Alexis, and my pronouns are she, her. We are worshiping in the homeland of the indigenous Ho-Chunk and Potawatomi people and are humbled to be on this sacred ground. This land, this country, this liberal faith, and our very lives are inherited from the complicated intersections of oppression, freedom, resistance, migration, war, justice-making, and hope. From these legacies, we learn, grow, seek repair, give thanks, and build a better world for those who will inherit our choices. We gather today for worship, and as we gather, we join in our sacred ritual. The flaming chalice is the symbol of our faith, a beacon of truth, a fire for justice, a warmth for the soul. One of our children, Cora, will be lighting our chalice today. Cora is going into first grade, and she's looking forward to going to the pool this summer. Let us speak together the covenant of our church. Love is the spirit of this church, and reason is its guide, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and freedom, and to serve human need. This is our covenant. Now let's sing together our chalice response song.
As we settle now into our time together, we share our prayers of the people, the naming of joy and sorrow, the holding in heart of those we love. We hold in our hearts all those recovering from illnesses or experiencing maladies of body or soul. May mercy and healing attend them. I want to offer a great big thank you to the Sex and Gender Justice team for organizing our participation yesterday in the Pride March. It was wonderful. And thank you to all of those who were there, either on the sidelines or participating in the parade. It was great. Thank you. Now I invite you in this space to name those aloud or in silence who you're holding in your heart. We lift all these up with intentions of love and healing. I invite you now to turn to your neighbor and greet them in fellowship.
Welcome to this simple place. It is a place of sanctuary from the pace of everyday life. It is a place to ponder the mysteries of the heart. It is a place to wander the paths of great ideas and possibilities. This is a place to be silent, to let what is deep inside you flow forth. This is a place for fellowship, to let others touch your heart. This is a sacred place because here we discover what is beyond ourselves, beckoning us in love to the future. Welcome to this simple place. Welcome to worship.
I'm Lindsay, your Director of Religious Education. My pronouns are she and her. Working with our children and youth today are Rebecca and Rose in the nursery, and Art and myself with the children and youth in grades 1 and up. As a reminder, the sound of children is always welcome here, but please do silence your electronic devices. Our story this morning is Sam and Dave Dig a Hole by Mac Barnett. On Monday, Sam and Dave dug a hole. "When should we stop digging?" asked Sam. "We are on a mission," said Dave. "We won't stop digging until we find something spectacular." The hole got so deep that their heads were underground, but they still had not found anything spectacular. "We need to keep digging," said Dave. So they kept digging. They took a break. Dave drank chocolate milk out of a canteen. Sam ate animal cookies he had wrapped in their grandfather's kerchief. Maybe, said Dave, the problem is that we are digging straight down. Yes, said Sam. That could be the problem. I think we should dig in another direction, said Dave. Yes, said Sam. That is a good idea. I have a new idea, said Dave. Let's split up. Really? Said Sam. Just for a little while, said Dave. It will help our chances. So, Dave went one way and Sam went another. But they did not find anything spectacular. Maybe we should go back to digging straight down, said Dave. Yes, said Sam. That is a good idea. Sam and Dave ran out of chocolate milk, but they kept digging. They shared the last animal cookie, but they kept digging. After a while, Sam sat down. Dave, he said, I am tired. I am tired too, said Dave. We should take a rest. Sam and Dave fell asleep. Then Sam and Dave were falling. Sam and Dave fell down, 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 until they landed in the soft dirt. Well, said Sam. Well, said Dave. That was pretty spectacular. And they went inside for chocolate milk and animal cookies. And if you'll join us in singing the first verse of This Little Light of Mine, we'll head downstairs.
I hope you subscribe to the Kairos, our weekly newsletter. Please be sure to read it for announcements about upcoming events and activities. This morning, I want to point out that today is our annual congregational meeting right after service. 5-minute break. Back in here. We need you here to review and approve the budget and our slate of candidates for leadership positions. We also have some celebrating to do. We will start the meeting 5 minutes after the end of the service. Each month, we'll be highlighting the activities of one of our faith and action teams. For the month of June, that is our eco-justice team, and so I want to invite a member of the team to come forward to tell you about what they are doing.
Good morning, I'm Sandra Locke. My pronouns are she and her. Instead of hosting a traditional Wonderful Wednesday, the Eco Justice team has decided that we will support one of our partners, which is Severson Dells, in a planting event that is going to take place on Saturday, June 13th, this coming Saturday, from 9 until noon. That's the 13th, 9 till noon. We'd love to have you join us. We will be helping to plant plugs at Prairie's Edge, which was known as the Elliott Golf Course. All ages are welcome, and you don't have to attend the full morning. If you have other things going on, just come for whatever part that you can. But it would help if we can let Severson Dells know how many to expect. And so Rebecca Benedicts will have a sign-up sheet at the coffee hour, or you can let her know by Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the 9th. Then they will be prepared for us. So we'll hope that you'll join us. This morning we take up an offering to support the work of Justice and Mercy, and as always, 80% of what is collected will go to our UU Neighborhood Free Pantry. It's, as you know, on the church grounds, available 24/7 for anyone to take or to donate. And I'd like to add just a few words of my experience, because my errands take me past there several times a week. And so sometimes I'll make 2 stops even the same day. And I've been fortunate to meet some of the people who either were there when I arrived and I didn't scare them off. I would just say, are there things you would hope to find so that we can be better prepared? And they will make some suggestions. And other times they've been brave enough to come, even if I was there stocking or rearranging things. What I see is gratitude, deep gratitude. There's a grandfather who comes and with his grandson, while the grandson plays, he comes and picks out a few things, and he doesn't speak English, but he always makes signs of gratitude and once even kissed my hand. There was a woman from the Domestic Violence Center who had just finished her stay there and was going to be able to get her own apartment, but she needed a little bit of a boost, and she said this is the best self-help pantry that she has encountered. She'd lived in another city, and she was grateful for us. There was a mother with a teenager who had to move in with her mother, who's living on Social Security because her a small factory closed, and her skills just wouldn't apply anyplace else here. There was a man who stopped and said he really depended on overtime every week in order to pay his family's bills, and the company had cut out all overtime. And so he was desperate and just had the most concerned tone in his voice as he talked about this. And then there's a family with a 4-year-old who tried to keep things together by, while they do have some part-time jobs that they're hoping will turn into full-time jobs. In the meantime, they donate plasma to earn a few bucks. Every week, you can go twice a week. How does a person do that? Trustworthy. I noticed that when I go first in the day, and I notice what's there, and I add a few things if I have some in the car. And then later when I come back, I notice, oh, maybe, okay, there had been about 30 items there, but only maybe 5 are missing. So there could be a moment where somebody takes more than we would hope, and we'd like them to leave some for the rest. But what I've found is that even if I say, when somebody is there, oh, I've got another one of those. I see you have a child in the car. If you need like double servings, I've got a little bit more. They say, oh no, I want to leave something for somebody else. Non-church support. There are not only do people from this congregation take things from the shelves and make sure that they help to replenish something each day, but I know that folks also put things in their grocery cart and then add them in, stop by, and some of those are not people from our church. That's very gratifying to see. We get we get some leftover canned goods from various pantries, but what we really need to buy are the things that even if you're lucky enough to have SNAP, you cannot get, and that is bathroom tissue, dish detergent, laundry detergent, hand soap, women's personal products, and baby diapers. So we would just be grateful for anything that you can add to help us be able to cover those needs. And so the offering will now be taken and most graciously received.
I invite you now to join me for a time of prayer and meditation. Taking a deep breath and exhale. Here, in the refuge of this Sabbath home, we turn our busy minds toward silence and our full hearts toward one another. We move together through the mysteries, the bright surprise of birth and the shadowed questions of death. In our slow walk between the two, we will be wounded and we will be showered with grace, amazing, unending. Even in our sorrows, we feel our lives cradled in holiness we cannot comprehend. And though we each walk within a vast of loneliness, the promise we offer here is that we do not walk alone. This is a holy place in which we gather. The light of the earth brought in and held, touched then by our answering light. The flame on a chalice, the flicker of a candle, the lamps of our open faces brought near. In this place of silence and celebration, solemnity and music, we make a sanctuary and name our home. Into this home, we bring our hunger for awakening. We bring compassionate hearts and a will toward justice. Into this home, we bring the courage to walk on after hard losses. Into this home, we bring our joy and gratitude for ordinary blessings. By our gathering, we bless this place. In its shelter, we know ourselves blessed. Let us rest now together in a moment of silence.
When I saw the theme for this week was simplify, I thought, uh-oh. I suppose there's some kind of poetry in my last testimony as worship associate being the one that challenges me the most. My life is anything but simple. I run a business, manage my home, and raise 2 young children in a single-parent household. I sing in a choir and a band, I play soccer, and I coach it too. The list goes on. Something I realized this week after feeling exhausted is that I rarely say no. Not to other people, but especially not to myself. Should I take on coaching a 5 and 6-year-old girls' soccer team twice a week on top of every other night of my week having commitments? Sure, my current self thinks. Future self can handle it. Spoiler alert, she cannot. And today, I stand before you exhausted, overextended, and needing to simplify. But how? For me, it might be admitting that I have a problem. That's the first step, right? I'm running from solitude. I am trying to avoid sitting still. I am burning myself up so there's no energy left to attend to the things my brain wants to spin on. Gotta keep running or my feelings will catch me. A few years ago, I went on a silent hike at Clem Arboretum. It was one of the most uncomfortable things I've done. Walk in a forest with only my thoughts to entertain me, but it was also one of the most rewarding. I realized in that moment that I had not, since childhood, been forced to be alone with my thoughts while in community with nature and with others. That's probably the answer right there. Admit there's a problem, start feeling your feelings, and then do more stuff that requires you to be quiet but connected to other humans. It's simple, really.
Let us rise in body or in spirit for our hymn number 20, Be Thou My Vision.
Our reading today is entitled First Church. All I have are images, pictures in a child's eyes of stairs leading way up high to the nursery, large, with windows round about and a door to the fire escape, forbidden but beckoning. Do you know that's what I remember from 2 or 3? And later, the house next door, where we made paper mache over balloons in a room strewn with paper and flour glue and a single image. Was I 4? Hands and smiles, but no faces to remember. I walked along the path beside the church and knelt at flowers yellow and orange. A butterfly, I said, and pointed with my tiny finger, laughed with my brother, sunny and bright. And then there was the sanctuary to me, so huge and dark, the organ immense across the length curtains, somewhere hiding shadows where I dared not go, unless I held a hand. The tiny closet where Dad kept his robe, velvet, black, and crimson, and changed from one to another, but still the same. Those images have lived with me for many years. Now I watch my own child carry a vase into the living room to set it on the coffee table with innocent grace, saying, "Let's play church, Mommy. This is the chalice." There is something that passes on without our great intention within the atmosphere we create at church, a people, to bloom somewhere in tiny hearts, which have grown through our care, in rooms now dusty, now lost, but real. Perhaps it is love, or simply faith.
doesn't running church sometimes feel like Dave and Sam digging a hole this way, digging a hole that way? I was sometimes writing a sermon is like that too. I'm heading for the diamond that I want to get out for the Sunday, and then something happens in a port somewhere around halfway around the world, or Secretary of Defense puts out a memo, which I know is on a lot of your minds. And I almost pulled my shovel out and started digging into that direction. But I realized I wouldn't have said much different than I said 2 weeks ago. And quite frankly, this is a larger game of chess that's going on. And if we keep turning every time something, I will be addressing this at a later date, be assured. But actually this week, we don't quite know what is happening yet. And I have been in conversation with the Unitarian Universalist Endorsing Agency, and so it's being tracked and it's being held. Maybe that's the simple message on that I know is on so many people's hearts. It is being held by the highest people in the UUA right now. And they are being wise and careful, and they are holding you all in their hearts. And so to the sermon that I was planning to preach on simple church. That is really big. So I'm flying into Los Angeles next month for a family reunion. We haven't had one in about 20 years, and it's about time. But I already know my first stop. I'm going to fly into LAX, rent the car, drive straight to In-N-Out Burger on Century Boulevard. You think Wisconsinites are obsessive about Culvers or Texans about... No, In-N-Out's a whole... Anytime, day or night, that line for the drive-thru is going to be wrapped around the block. In-N-Out has been around since I was a kid, and the menu hasn't changed. Burgers, fries, and shakes. No chicken, no bacon-wrapped anything. For vegetarians, you can get a grilled cheese on a hamburger bun. For vegans, you can get the bun. There's an obsession with simplicity today. Thank you, Alexis, for that reminder. I was with you, right? Saying no to the things that are not just the things that are a burden, but the things that makes our hearts sing. There's so many things to say yes to. And so no wonder there's an obsession with simplicity. And it seems my research into simplicity finally gave YouTube's algorithm the information it needed on me. It's never quite figured me out. But now suddenly hundreds of channels about minimalism now infest my YouTube feed. Never Too Small, about tiny houses. Minimalist Feast, which, cheap RV living, Nomadaholic, and my favorite influencer, I never thought I'd utter those words, is a guy named Samurai Matcha. I've watched him discover minimalism, get rid of nearly everything he owns, create minimalist challenges for his viewers, and finally, just this year, he found true love with another minimalist. This last chapter documents how two minimalists will never agree on what to throw away. What do we cut from our church programming when everything seems like a diamond? According to church researchers, Tom Rainer and Eric Geiger, most churches are not simple. They're the authors of this book called Simple Church. Our churches are structured in fine 19th century fashion, when committees were a fashionable way to organize power. Committees, believe it or not, were once radical, a way of giving power to the people. Not so much anymore. So I wonder, are our church's structures too complicated? Can we learn something from the simplicity movement? Can a church do a few things so well that people find in the work itself the fellowship and togetherness that our souls crave? Or simply, can a few core teams empower more volunteers more effectively to the work that they enjoy the most? What does science say about this? MIT Media Lab's John Medea has spent decades studying complex systems. He identified two competing impulses. See if these ring true for you. When you want more, it's because you want to enjoy and consume. When you want less, it's because having involves work or pain. I once had a dear friend, and we went to GA one year, and she's an absolute minimalist. She lived in a little RV, never wanted to own anything, and we were checking in together, and they handed over all this swag, right? And I took the swag, and I'm like, I don't want this. How many tote bags do I need? How many mugs do I need? And she handed it all right back to them. She said, thank you for the agenda. She took the agenda and handed it all back. And we were talking about it later, and this is exactly what she said. Having all that stuff involves work and pain for me because I have to figure out how to get rid of it. I've never forgotten that. In church here, we might say that when people show up, it's because you are finding connection and purpose. And when people show up less, it's because showing up is more trouble than it's worth. I see a few head nods. I'm glad. Because this is kind of complicated stuff. Simplicity, Medea concluded, lives somewhere between enjoyment and austerity, between wanting more and needing less. If Medea is right, we're working at cross purposes. We want to enjoy more of the experience we're having here at church, and yet I've never seen a church whose leaders weren't on the edge of burnout every spring going into the annual meeting, which starts in 20 minutes. My hope, actually, one hope that I have is that our reinvigorated council will help us simplify. I've actually heard it said the other way, like, oh, this is just another complicating thing. No, I'm hoping that it actually helps us simplify. As many of our committees shrink to only a couple people, sometimes only one, rather than beat those bushes, you know the bushes I'm talking about, the ones with all the volunteers in them, rather than beating them further, perhaps this council will let us our organizers do what they love doing best. Those single people holding down that council position. Let them organize. Let them put together events, and then let volunteers come and do the activities. Hopefully that council can let us do the communication, have the fellowship and the connection that all these myriad committees have sometimes done in the past. One thing we know about younger volunteers is that they volunteer for the impact, not committee work. When they sign up for the little forms, they're not saying, give me more committee work. Now, this said, I want to be clear about two things. First, I'm not saying don't volunteer. I think everyone should volunteer for what brings them joy. And I think volunteering for something is a part of being a member. Pick the thing that gives your heart joy and help build this church. And second, sometimes there are genuine needs in the congregation that must be met. For example, religious education. Not committee work, but boots on the ground, sharing with our children and youth the values we share. Talked about it before, I'm going to talk about it again. But there's nothing more valuable to this congregation and the future of Unitarian Universalism than our children and our youth. Rayner and Geiger, in their book Simple Church, say the antidote to burnout is a clear mission, faithfully kept. Their research found, I think Dave and Sam needed a better mission, right? Don't just go dig. What are you digging for? The dog figured it out, right? Did you notice that? They're so much smarter than us. But Rainer and Geiger's research found that vibrant churches and stagnant churches differ on one thing: complexity. Complex churches are declining. Simple churches built around a clear, process-oriented mission are thriving. And they outline 3 stages of a healthy church process captured in a clear mission statement. First, the process involves a way of moving people from the outside to the inside. Right? You've all experienced that. At one point, you weren't a Unitarian, except for the people who were born into the faith, which is like 10% now. I mean, it's pretty small. So at some point, you came from the outside to the inside. So that's the first thing. Second, there needs to be a process of personal and spiritual growth once you get in here, right? We got to incubate that love. And third, there's got to be a pathway from inner work into the justice work of the world. In other words, they say, come join, thrive in this place, go out and change the world. 1, 2, 3. Simple church. Come in, be yourself, go out. Maybe in and out is onto something. Come in, fill your belly with that jungle burger. Here are some mission statements from some of the thriving churches that they studied. Love God, love others, serve the world. Foyer, living room, kitchen, which for that congregation was entry, connection, cooking up justice. Connecting, growing, serving. And here are some of my favorites from UU churches that I've been involved with. Nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole. Come in, nurture your spirit, go out. And welcoming all, inspiring compassion and wonder, serving community. Going into the annual meeting, I reviewed our mission statement. And here's what I found. Drum roll. Whoever helped you craft your mission and vision statement did a great job, even if the labels got flipped. I'll explain what I'm talking about. In other words, your vision statement to me reads like a perfect mission statement, and vice versa, at least according to the research that I'm using today. And what I'm speaking on is based on my training from Unity Consulting, the UUA's Congregational Handbook, and this book. But this flip is okay, and it's really not uncommon. Vision, mission. I was actually looking into this and it's. Some people will say the vision statement's shorter and the mission's longer. Others will say mission's shorter, blah, whatever. We can work with what we have right now. Your vision reads, the UU Church of Rockford is a loving, spiritual congregation that lives our values through belonging, reason, and action. Now, as a mission statement, according to this rubric, it's perfect. It reminds us that we are a loving spiritual place where you can belong, think, and act. And I'll bet you if you put it on the refrigerator for a week, I bet you'd be able to remember it. That's a good mission statement. Love, belong, think, act. Reiner and Geiger, on the other hand, define a vision statement, which we call a mission statement, as something longer to return to and be inspired by. It might be long, but it's worth the reminder. A mission statement is something so memorable we can actually remember and use it. It's not even an elevator speech because it's a one-floor speech. There are words that we can use over and over to tell the world who we are. UU Rockford, a loving, spiritual congregation that lives our values through belonging, reason, and action. As we enter our second year of transition, we will turn back to your mission and vision statements. As an interim minister, I will not change them. I'm not going to try to figure out what's a vision statement and what's a mission statement. That's not my role. Your minister, your new minister, will want to do all that with you. And they may come in and say, Reverend Bret was totally wrong. And I hope that you will listen to them. By the time he, she, or they arrive, you should know, though, what your vision and mission statements are. You should understand them. And you should have some questions. Are they who you are today? Do these statements communicate clearly our promises to the world? Was Reverend Bret, the UUA, Unity Consulting, Rayner, and Geiger off their rockers with their definitions? All good questions. And that last question is actually the least important, because what really matters, according to Rayner and Geiger and the UUA and the rest, is to view mission and vision as a process, as process work. To find who's falling through the cracks of that process, who's not finding their way into that front door, who's not connecting and getting all that good love stuff when they're here, who's falling through the cracks. To ask, how are we connecting ourselves with our purposes for being in this community and world? Why are we here? You know, we can put each of our programs to the Simple Church Simplicity Test. I'm just going to do a couple of them here because I want to get us going to that meeting. Love that meeting. How about the pantry as a loving act of kindness that says to the community we belong together? Yes, absolutely. How about those donations that we send to NPR telling the world who we are and inviting listeners to join us? Absolutely. Worth every penny. And thank you to the donor who makes that happen. How about our Woodsong program, a preschool that shares our values, cares for this land, and nurtures creative, justice-minded young people? Amen. Can I get a hallelujah? Yes, we are doing so much good stuff. Simplify, simplify, said Thoreau and Walden. Our life is frittered away in detail. And so what would this church look like as we re-examine how every program supports the mission? Sounds like a great council thing to talk about, isn't it? What would it feel like if we aligned our energy around our vision and not do things simply because we've always done them? Not that we are, but are we? These are great questions. I think it would look a lot like what we have now, but maybe just a little bit lighter. And instead of people saying, I love this place, but there's so much to do, we might hear, I love this place, and I know exactly why I'm here, where I fit in, and together we are making the world a better place. UU Rockford, a simple church of love and belonging, reason and action. May it be so. Blessed be. And now let us rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, 128, For All That Is Our Life. Would you join me for our responsive benediction? The complicated is the simple, badly thought out. The universe, what is it? What is it made of? What are its parts? And now, while Alexis extinguishes our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment which we carry until we are together again, I invite you to join hands for our closing blessing. If touch is uncomfortable or private for you, just keep your hands where they are, trusting that others respect your choices. Now let us sing our closing blessing.